This is 20 lessons I've learned so far up in my 20s. This video is just going to be sharing my experiences and all the major mistakes that I believe I made in my life and that I've learned from the most. There's not going to be any fast edits or jump cuts. It's just going to be me keeping it real, talking about my experience. And for the people that still have the attention span nowadays to listen, I'm sure you guys might have gone through a few similar things like the ones I'm going to talk about, or hopefully you haven't yet, and you can use this information to prevent them. And number one would be not being proactive, not taking initiative enough in my life to take up extracurricular activities or pursue new interests and hobbies. And the reason I'm saying this is because when I graduated high school, I had completely no idea what I wanted to do with my life. I felt lost. I ended up studying a degree that I did not use. I studied computer science, and now, 5 years after graduating, I'm a personal trainer. That didn't go as planned. But I am a lot happier now. And even though the only reason I went to do IT was because, yeah, I liked playing video games, I'm like, oh, I should work with computers. And it was also the financial security side of things. But I'm doing pretty well for myself now. And if I had been proactive with pursuing my interests and my hobbies a lot earlier on, I would have probably been in this area a lot earlier and I would be a lot further ahead in my career right now. I would also have saved myself quite a few years of frustration, feeling lost, and not having a purpose in life. The thing is, a lot of you might also be in the same position where you don't really know what you want to do with your life, but the idea is not just gonna fall on your head one day like an apple. You're not just gonna wake up one day and think, this is what I want to do with my life. No, you have to go out, try things, talk to people, have conversations. For each conversation can spark a new idea. You try out the idea, maybe it works out, maybe it doesn't. You don't need to know your destination right away. You pick a direction and you go that way. And one thing takes you to another and another and another. And then somehow you end up at something that you think you might want to explore a little more. And this brings me to the second lesson, which is to consume less and to do more. When you're walking around at the airport, when you're taking public transport and you're in the bus or in the metro or the train and you look up, you'll see two kinds of people. The one that's sitting alone and is scrolling, doing something on their phone, and the one that might be present, either contemplating their life and about the certain decisions they want to make and what to do, or they might be engaging actively with the people around them. We're getting bombarded with an overload of information nowadays. Our brains are overstimulated. The attention spans are smaller than ever. Even I notice it when I'm watching something and I feel this urge to reach for my phone and then I have to resist. The trick is to consume just enough content to get you started on what you want to do, but not too much content such that you get caught up on simply being satisfied from watching it. You see, sometimes when you have this idea that you're working on, you want to start a business or you want to do a thing, you start watching so much content over it that after you're done watching, you don't really feel motivated to take any action. That's because you've spiked your dopamine from just watching the video or by talking about this idea that you have with a friend, that you've essentially gotten what you wanted out of it. Your dopamine's high, now you're satisfied, you feel good, and you go back to playing video games or watching Netflix. At some point, I was caught in a spiral where I was spending more time watching content on how to grow my business than I was actually spending time doing the things that move the needle forward. And that was just a form of procrastination. So consume less, do more. You already know what to do. Or when it comes to the previous point of not knowing what to do with your life, stop looking less, do more. One idea will lead you to the other. Number three would be to not get comfortable, especially at work. I'm sure we've all been in a situation. I've had plenty of jobs that I genuinely did not enjoy. I've done a few roles in IT that I didn't like. At some point in my life, I even worked at a factory during COVID, just assembling these electronic devices for agricultural machines. That was some of the most boring stuff I've ever done in my life. But I've also been in jobs where I did enjoy what I was doing, like training, but maybe I'm in an environment where I don't really want to be. Or maybe you're in a job where eventually you know that you're going to quit. You're just working on a side hustle until it takes off. But that is one of the biggest mistakes you can make, because as soon as you get comfortable and you check out from your day job, you start doing your job less good. Other than the fact that that is negatively going to affect your performance, your relationship with your boss, and it's going to completely kill your potential for the future, you also start enjoying life less. You start constantly looking at the clock to see when the day is going to be over so you can just go home and finally do the things you like. And you're essentially completely wasting your 9 to 5. Whatever it is you're doing, whether you're picking up trash outside or cleaning toilets or working in an office, you should be proud of the work you do. If you're not going to do it with a smile on your face, then don't do it at all. You're going to be there whether you like it or not. So you might as well do it with a passion, contribute to the business, the people you're helping, and at the same time, grow in the role that you're doing. Why would you not put in some extra effort when you could even get a promotion, or that might lead you to a new opportunity that's going to allow you to make more money when you're spending those hours of the day there anyway? And then when you leave your job, then you switch modes and you work on whatever it is you want to focus on. This has massively changed the game when it comes to being happy in life, especially when you have to work a job that you don't like for a while. Number 4 would be dirty bulking. Growing up, I was one of the skinniest kids in my class, and that took a toll on my self-esteem, my confidence, and I wanted to build muscle to improve my confidence. And one of the first things you find online when you try to do that is bulking. But the problem is, and a lot of guys who tell you to bulk tell you, oh, it doesn't matter what you eat, just eat like 3,500 calories, and it's all about the macros. Well, it's not. Because if you start eating burgers and fast food and alcohol, and you start avoiding cardio like all these bodybuilders are preaching, you're gonna get fat. And that's what happened to me. Even though, yes, I did build some muscle, I also put on a lot of body fat until I looked myself in the mirror and I was watching my belly rolls and I thought, you know what, this can't go on any longer. And also, surely, there's got to be a better way. Why would it not be possible to gain muscle without losing fat? It doesn't make sense. You can absolutely build muscle while losing fat, or at least not gaining any fat. And the way to do that is to manage your caloric intake well. If you're not sure how many calories to eat exactly, you can use the free calorie calculator I used in the description. And then to also limit alcohol, train hard in the gym, and still do cardio. Once I implemented these things, it completely changed the game for me when it comes to fitness. Because then suddenly I was able to train in the gym, still do kickboxing as cardio, which I really enjoy, eat like a normal human being, and still see amazing progress. Next lesson is not trying to do everything alone. If you want to go fast, yes, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. For the longest time, I tried to build muscle, lose fat, and change my body alone. But I ended up wasting lots of years of frustration and lost progress because I had too big of an ego to ask for help. Actually pay someone to teach me the proper way to lift without getting injured, to teach me the proper way to maximize the results that I get from the time I'm already putting in, and to help me really stay on track, hold me accountable to make sure I'm making progress as fast as possible. And that's why also when I started my online coaching business, I immediately got a mentor, because I had now experienced how powerful it is to have a trainer, have someone coaching you, as I became a coach myself. And I actually ended up having one of my colleagues coach me as well to see what that feels like. And getting a mentor when it comes to my business is what also helped me go freelance after being a trainer for just a year and fully sustain myself and travel the world. And this ties right into the next point, which is to not quit your job too early. Because just when I was at this point where I'm traveling, I'm working for myself, I'm making good money, I'm paying all this money to an expensive mentor, after a few months, it wasn't sustainable anymore. I wasn't putting enough money back into the business other than the mentorship I was paying. Of course, I was recklessly spending it on travel and having fun. And as soon as the progress stagnated a bit, that's where I ended up getting in some financial trouble. I also quickly realized that only working online is not that fun unless you're constantly traveling 24/7, which of course is not very realistic. That's when I decided to check myself, get back to the gym, coach people, realized just how much I had missed the personal contact. And that was also one of the reasons why I shifted from IT to being a personal trainer. And the online coaching is the business I work on in my free time because I enjoy doing it and it's a really good supplementary income. If I were to ever quit my day job again, I would wait at least until I had 3 to 6 months savings to help me sustain myself in times of need. And I would first build a system or hire people so that I don't have to do all of the boring tasks myself anymore. And then I can concentrate more on more of the CEO tasks and move the business forward. At the end of the day, that's also what the main job would be for, to give you money that you can just use and burn and put back into the business. Magic number 7. Alcohol is a distraction. Especially when I was trying to build muscle, alcohol did not help because it made the caloric surplus that I have even bigger. But it also negatively impacted my recovery, my testosterone, my energy levels, and it made my progress a lot worse. It was only when I told myself I would quit alcohol for 3 months that I realized just how much more productive I was being, how much more progress I was making in the gym, how much better I felt not waking up hungover on the weekend. And very quickly, those 3 months became 1 year, and that 1 year became 2 years. And now 3 years later, I've drank 2-3 times maybe. And I'm also not a place where I can control it. Because back when I was a student, if I ever said, okay, I'll just have 1 or 2 drinks, famous last words. Number 8, they're not your friends. Stop trying to fit in. Throughout high school and also even through university, I've been in plenty of situations where I would adapt the way I acted. I would act just a little differently just to fit in. Like, for example, I would maybe meet up with a few guys who like to smoke up, and I would be like, you know what, let me also try a joint. What's going to happen? And then do that, and suddenly that becomes a thing you bond over. But now each subsequent time you meet, it is assumed that you also like engaging in these kinds of activities and you're going to keep doing the same. And you quickly realize that if you stop doing that, you have nothing more left in common with these people. And what happens is you think, oh, I'm going to do this so we can fit in and we'll have friends. And you think that that's a good thing. It's helping you have friends, right? Until a few months later, you have to cut them off because you realize you are completely different and you're back to square one. This is why adapting your personality will never work for you when it comes to meeting new people, because sooner rather than later, you're going to realize that it's not working out. This is just one of the situations where you have to be yourself. Now, not always, because sometimes being yourself means you're not confident or weird, an asshole, or fat, and that's when you do need to change. Now, another thing I've spent a lot of time doing, unfortunately, growing up, is playing video games. And video games are fake progress. You end up putting all this time into them. They suck up all of your motivation and your energy and your drive. And then as soon as you turn the computer off, you are left with nothing. Your life has changed by 0%. You think you're doing well by doing all these quests and getting new gear and leveling up, when in reality, the only thing that's happened is you've entertained yourself for a few hours. You have accomplished nothing. You have simply managed to distract yourself. And this is why video games can be detrimental to your development, because they end up completely sapping your energy and your drive, and you don't really feel like getting after it in the real world. You don't feel like grinding for work, building the business. You don't feel like going out, meeting other people, speaking to girls, because they keep you comfortable. And so it was only when I quit video games that my life exponentially started to improve, because suddenly now I have a lot of free time where I'm forced to think. And if in that situation you think accurately and with intent, you are gonna come upon an idea that is going to change your life. I guarantee it. You just have to be present in the real world. Now, one of the ways to change your behavior in this situation is to get an accountability partner. Having an accountability partner is a cheat code. It is what allowed me to stay consistent with posting every day and growing my business and my social media the past few years. And it's what allowing me to stay consistent right now. As a matter of fact, I had this idea to start a podcast, and now that I'm doing it together with one of my friends, we booked in a weekly meeting, even though he's in a different country. We booked in a spot in our calendar and we attend it every week, no matter what. And we either discuss our goals for the next week, what we want to do, what we want to accomplish, how it's going, and then we also record an episode. But if we're not able to record an episode, we at least get together to discuss our progress, set goals, and hold each other accountable. One of the other main lessons I learned in my 20s, and especially while building my business, is that monk mode is a scam. Yes, it is absolutely necessary whenever you need to make radical changes in your life, like starting a business or changing your physique, to completely lock in for 3 to 6 months. Zero distractions, just put your full attention into one thing. That can be an incredibly powerful catalyst for change. But if it drags on any longer than that, it becomes an excuse for introverted guys to stay comfortable. Monk mode is an excuse to stay introverted. Let's be honest, it's really easy to suddenly say no to all the social activities. Just go work, go gym, grind on the business, and repeat. But avoiding social contact, avoiding going out and dating, meeting new people, doing weird things like semen retention and all that stuff that's coming up online, if you do that long enough, it's just gonna turn you into a weirdo. Number 12, not doing martial arts earlier in my life. Now, growing up, I told you I was quite skinny. There's been a few situations where I was picked on or someone was messing with me, and I didn't have the confidence or skills to stand up for myself simply because the other person is bigger. But it was when I started martial arts that I realized that the other person's size does absolutely nothing if you know how to fight and he doesn't. This is where you also get humbled very quickly when you get paired with someone who looks significantly smaller than you and skinnier, but next thing you know, you're getting hit from all sides and angles and you can't even land a hit. Size means nothing when you're in the ring, means nothing when you're in a fight, and this is just one of the reasons why I think bodybuilding is stupid. To hell with all those big muscles that are just for show if they can't actually do anything. And it's not just about learning to defend yourself, it's about the discipline you build from it, and it's about the confidence it gives you. Now, I'm a chill guy, but knowing that if someone messes with you, you can have them collecting their teeth a few minutes later off the floor, then that gives you quite a bit of confidence. Now, this next lesson, I'm still trying to practice daily myself, and that is to stop avoiding social contact, to just be present. There's been a lot of situations in my life where I would be in class, for example, at uni, or go to a fitness class or a workshop, and after it's done, I would be the first one to just leave and get out. I was very efficient with my time. It's like I go there with a goal, see the event, learn something, go work out, and then I'd be the first one out. No socializing, no networking, meeting other people, talking to people, just in, out. But you never know who you're going to meet. You never know what kind of click you might have with the other person, what kind of relationship you end up having with them, or what they might end up doing for you in your personal life when it comes to your career, or giving you a piece of information that might somehow change your life. And now every time I'm in a situation like that, I stick around. And now there's been quite a few situations where I meet someone and then we end up working together. I start helping them with their fitness, or I get one of their services because it helps me. Now, this also goes for wearing headphones all the time. Being present outside, being more observant, engaging, and interacting with other people is not just gonna make you happier, it's gonna make life more fun. It's gonna make you less anxious. And it's no wonder everyone's anxious and depressed all the time because everyone's avoiding social contact, everyone's scrolling their phone, everyone's listening to music, and they're all closed off in their own world. Number 14 would be to find a mentor. Especially as a guy, it is incredibly important to have a masculine presence in your life, a role model that you respect, that can teach you values, teach you principles, to stand your own and guide you in the right direction to building yourself up and then ultimately helping you build others, build a career, build a family, build a social circle, and live out the purpose that you know you want to live. Now, if you've grown up in a single mother household, or maybe your dad wasn't there often, or you didn't have a clique, the only other option would be to find that mentor in either a different person you know around you, be that a person, a teacher, a trainer, or even someone online. Having a mentor that you can look up to and aspire to be like is going to be imperative, especially during your formative years to your growth and development. Number 15 would be to learn sales. I started learning sales for my business to get clients, coach them with fitness, and I very quickly realized how everything in life is sales. Getting a job, getting clients for your business, negotiating a salary, making friends, to even dating. Everything in life in sales. And all the principles I've learned from sales have helped me get more raises, get hired when I want to be hired. Believe it or not, made me a better coach because coaching people comes down to changing their behavior, and a lot of it is based on psychology, which is what sales is based on, and also dating. Number 16 is to quit watching damn porn. Stop sitting at home, jacking off, and go outside and meet new people. A lot of guys can find it uncomfortable to talk about it, but everyone's done it. It's normal. But as soon as you become an adult, it's time to stop. Porn, especially so, is incredibly damaging to men and young men because it completely messes up your idea of what relationships should look like, what intimacy should look like, how sex should look like. It desensitizes you to normal sex, and the more you watch it, the more you start craving novelty and new things. The normal things don't turn you on anymore. And if you do that for years and years, that's how you end up becoming one of those weirdos that likes being tortured or likes watching animal stuff. Also, dating apps. I mean, I've used them myself on and off, but I finally decided that it's time to go off them because they keep you comfortable. First of all, it's always easy to fall back and go home and start scrolling. And second, I don't believe you're going to meet the person you want to meet through an app. You will meet them at places that you like to hang out, like maybe the gym, or if you like reading, the bookstore, or some convention or event that is tied to one of your interests. And let's be honest, if a girl gets hundreds of messages every week on this app, then why would they start engaging with everyone in conversation? You're just going to get very short responses, quick responses, because they have too many people to respond to, and it just becomes an attention game for them. Also, they'll be wondering, why are you on the app? Why can't you meet people in real life? This ties into number 17, which is to learn how to control your emotions. Things like engaging in porn also comes down to controlling your emotions and your impulses. If you go through life reacting to what happens and you're more of a reactive and emotional man, you're never really going to end up getting what you want. The most respected men are those who can endure hardship, and even when everything seems to be in chaos, they can still remain composed and calm. 3 C's: cool, calm, and collected. And what you also find is if you learn how to properly control your emotions, you're going to be a lot happier in life. And what's helped me do that incredibly well is, for example, reading about Stoicism. Now you can get this book, The Daily Stoic, where every day you can read a short meditation or a quote, if you will, by someone, and then a little bit of an explanation about what it means, and then think about that and actually implement it. Don't just read it. And I would also highly recommend getting Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, arguably one of the most powerful men in the world at some point, as he was the emperor of the whole Roman Empire, which at some point spanned a massive part of the whole world. This book gives you a direct insight on what this man thought on a daily basis, what kept him sane, and what allowed him to reach the level of power that he did. And don't just go through it once, read it slow, take notes, go through your notes again, and actually act on the things you read. Another important lesson I learned was that comparison is not the same as aspiration. The fastest way to achieve your goals is to look for someone who has achieved what you want and to do what they're doing. But we often fall into the trap of comparing ourselves to them. For example, me doing social media. I look at all these guys on social media that have a massive following. They seem like they're doing well. Maybe they even started after me, and I cannot help but compare myself to them. I recently started a podcast, and I cannot help but compare myself to people like Joe Rogan or Jordan Peterson, who also have their own podcast and that I look up to myself. But it's not fair to compare your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 1000. These people have done thousands of podcasts, and before that, they've put thousands of hours into practicing their speaking, their communication skills, working on their articulation, their vocabulary. And so it remains important to model the rise instead of the result. So look back at the time when they were growing, when they were gaining traction, and before they were famous, and what they were doing then, and model that. Not what you see now, because what you see now is a result of all those thousands of hours of practice that they've put into it. So it's good to have someone to aspire to be like, but you don't want to do the things they're doing now. They're already on a different level. Or if you see someone who's in shape, don't ask them what they're doing now. What they're doing now is not relevant. No, ask them what they were doing when they were trying to get the results. More importantly, when they were in the same situation that you are in right now. Number 19 would be that you have time. So don't forget to have fun. And listen, I'm also incredibly ambitious. I do believe that in your 20s, when you have all this energy, you're at the peak of your physical capabilities. You don't have a wife, you don't have kids. You're in the best place to spend as much time as possible as you can into building a future for yourself. You don't have any responsibilities. You can take all the risk you want. Now is the time to do that. But from 20 to 30, you have plenty of time to do exactly that. And my clients in the gym, which are often very wealthy and very successful in life, remind me constantly of the fact that there's so much time to do the things that you like. Every month they tell me new places they've been to and what they've done. And these people are in their 50s and 60s. And here I'm thinking, man, what's the rush really? If all these people can do all that in their 50s and 60s, then so can I. Yes, there's certain things that you can only do when you're young, and these you should aim to do them as fast as you can and do them now. But as long as you know that you're doing everything you can, you're working hard to build a future for yourself that you have in mind, then do not feel rushed to skip on the part of the experiences that you're supposed to experience now and that you cannot experience later. You might be living close with your friends right now and it's easy to meet up with them, but it's not going to be like that 5 or 10 years from now. It's things like these that you should not forget, and you should take advantage of them right now before it's too late. Because one thing you cannot do is turn back time. And finally, be true to your own vision so that you don't get what you want. If you got this far, you already know that I worked in IT. I've adapted my personality or things I actually like doing in order to meet more friends and be more social. But all that ends up doing is waste your own time. If you change who you are to fit in, if you don't take initiative, you're not proactive, and you don't form your own opinions, your own beliefs, your own interests, and you're just following what other people are putting on your plate and putting in front of you. If you haven't built up your physique and your confidence and your sales and your speaking skills, and you don't have a direction in life, then you're going to end up living someone else's life. If you have certain beliefs in life, but you cannot explain why you believe what you believe, then it's not your own. When I decided to quit IT and get into fitness, my dad wasn't on board. People that were close to me in my life thought I was stupid for making that decision. But if I had followed someone else's vision of what my life should look like, then I would have gotten the life of someone else. A life that I do not want. So stay true to yourself. What's the biggest lesson that you've learned so far in your 20s and that's completely changed your life? Let me know in the comments, or even better yet, join the free self-improvement Discord. And let's make sure that we don't make mistakes like these again.